Story 1. A few years have passed since that weekend. Enough time for the sharp edges of terror to dull a little, but not enough for the memories to fade. I was 23, fresh out of college with a solid entry-level marketing job and the rare luxury of moving back in with my parents, no rent, home-cooked dinners every night, money quietly piling up in my savings account. Life felt safe, predictable, almost boring in the best way. I wasn't the party type. I preferred quiet evenings with a book, early morning hikes, or gym sessions where the only competition was with myself. Hookups and late-night chaos had never appealed to me. My dad was, and still is, the most important man in my life, and I'd always kept things simple and respectful. That's why, when my college friend Brooke invited me, Claire and Mia to her family's beach house in Destin, Florida, it felt like a perfect, low-stakes escape. Brooke's parents were both high-powered neurosurgeons. Their place was straight out of a design magazine. Sleek glass walls that reflected the Gulf of Mexico, open-plan living with white marble and minimalist furniture, and a private stretch of powdery white sand that felt like it belonged only to us. No tourists, no noise, just the rhythmic crash of waves and the faint smell of salt and sunscreen lingering in the air. We arrived on a Thursday afternoon, giggling like we were still freshmen as we claimed the bunk room on the second floor. 2 sets of bunk beds, 1 giant attached bathroom, and enough space for our suitcases and secrets. 3 nights felt like the sweet spot, long enough to relax, short enough to avoid getting on each other's nerves. Claire was the bubbly one, always ready with a joke. Mia was quieter but fiercely loyal. Brooke was the planner, the one who made sure we had snacks, playlists, and zero drama. Our first evening was pure magic. We spread blankets on the warm sand just steps from the house, cracked open a pack of hard seltzers, and let Sabrina's portable speaker fill the air with soft house beats. The sky was a deep indigo, stars popping out one by one like someone was turning on fairy lights. We talked about everything and nothing. Work stress, old crushes, dreams we hadn't told anyone else. The Gulf breeze carried the scent of seaweed and distant bonfires. And for once, I felt completely at ease. Then we noticed it, a faint, flickering light far down the beach, maybe a quarter-mile away. It blinked on and off in an irregular pattern, almost hypnotic. We quieted down, watching. Soon the light began moving, swinging gently side to side like someone walking with a flashlight. Shapes emerged, 3 figures strolling casually toward us, not rushing, not stumbling, just approaching. As they got closer, laughter drifted over the waves, easy, carefree male voices. Our shoulders relaxed, probably just some guys our age out for a night walk. One of them called out a friendly, "Hey!" and waved. "Thea!" Wait, no. In my memory, it was Claire who yelled back first. Small talk followed as they closed the distance. They were 3 guys, mid-20s, tan from days in the sun, wearing board shorts and loose t-shirts, each carrying a beer. Classic beach boy vibe, confident but not aggressive. They asked if they could join us. We said sure. Names were exchanged. I barely remember theirs now. Something like Jake, Tyler, and Ryan. And suddenly there were 7 of us sitting in a loose circle, passing drinks, sharing stories. The conversation flowed effortlessly. They weren't pushy or creepy. They laughed at our jokes, asked questions, seemed genuinely interested. An hour slipped by like minutes. Then they suggested we all head back to their place. Just a few houses down, we've got a fire pit going, more drinks. I was exhausted. The drive, the sun, the seltzers had hit me harder than expected. I politely declined, saying I'd call it a night. The others looked disappointed but excited, especially Claire and Mia, who were clearly into the vibe. Brooke hesitated but went along. I hugged them, told them to text if anything, and walked back to the house alone, the sand cool under my feet now that the sun had long set. I showered off the salt, crawled into my bunk, and fell asleep almost instantly. At 3:17 a.m., I remember the exact time because it burned into my brain. My phone buzzed violently on the nightstand. FaceTime from Brooke. Confused. Weren't they still out? I answered in a groggy whisper. Her face filled the screen, pale, eyes wide with panic. "They took them!" she hissed, voice cracking. "Claire and Mia. They threw them in a car and drove off. I called 911 already, but you have to get my car. Now, please." The words hit like ice water. My heart slammed into overdrive. Hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. "Where are you? What happened?" I whispered, already scrambling out of bed. She was halfway back to the house, running barefoot on the sand. She'd forgotten her purse, gone back, and seen the guys forcing a struggling Claire and Mia into the back of an SUV. The third guy had tried to grab her too, but she'd screamed and bolted. Adrenaline surged through me like electricity. I threw on shorts and a hoodie, heart pounding so hard my ears rang. Down the stairs two at a time, through the dark living room, fumbling with the driveway gate remote. Brooke's keys were on the hook by the door. Thank God she was organized. I slid into her SUV, engine roaring to life, and peeled out. 10 houses left along the beach road, she panted into the phone, still on speaker. Black SUV, tinted windows. They turned right. Hurry! The road was deserted, streetlights sparse. I drove way too fast. 60, 70, tires gripping the asphalt like my life depended on it, because theirs did. Every shadow looked like the SUV. Every headlight in the rear view made me flinch. My mind raced. What if they hurt them? What if they're already gone? What if I'm too late? Then I saw it. Taillights ahead, moving slowly. Black SUV, matching Brooke's description. I killed the headlights, kept distance as the 911 dispatcher had instructed when I briefly switched calls. "Stay back, don't engage," she said. "Units are en route." Minutes felt like hours. Then, red and blue lights exploded in the distance. The SUV slowed, pulled over casually, like it was just a routine stop. I parked a safe distance away, watching in frozen horror as officers swarmed. Guns drawn, shouts, 3 men yanked out, slammed against the vehicle, cuffed. One officer opened the trunk. Claire and Mia were inside, bound with zip ties, mouths taped, faces bruised and tear-streaked, but breathing, alive. The rest is fragments, police statements, Brooke collapsing into my arms when she arrived, paramedics checking the girls. The guys silent and stone-faced as they were loaded into cruisers. Turns out the rental house wasn't theirs at all. Belonged to an elderly couple vacationing in Europe. The men had broken in weeks earlier. Multiple prior charges surfaced. Brooke's family lawyers made sure the case got maximum attention without dragging us through public scandal. Long sentences followed. Claire and Mia still have nightmares. Therapy helped, but beaches trigger panic attacks for all of us now. I became withdrawn for months, couldn't handle crowds, late nights, or small talk with strangers. Even friendly smiles on the street made my stomach twist. But we survived. We rebuilt. The part that haunts me most, if I hadn't gone to bed early, if I'd stayed with them, I might never have been there to grab the car keys, to race through the dark, to be the one who helped close the gap before it was too late. One small choice, and everything could have ended differently. Sometimes I still lie awake wondering, how many people disappear because no one was awake to answer the call? Story 2. I'd just wrapped up college early, a decision that once felt like freedom, but quickly turned into this suffocating limbo. No job yet, my start date was still weeks away, and my friends were buried in finals or summer classes. Days blurred into endless scrolling, takeout boxes piling up, and this gnawing sense that I was wasting the best years of my life. I needed purpose, any scrap of it, so when my aunt asked me to swing by my Uncle Victor's coastal cottage in Ocean City, Maryland, I jumped at the chance. It was only a 3-hour drive from our place in upstate New York, nothing major. The task was simple: inspect for leaks, test the systems, do minor fixes so Victor wouldn't have to pay a handyman during the off-season. The cottage sat in a sleepy upscale enclave, a short stroll from the Atlantic, surrounded by swaying sea oats, narrow lanes, and the constant low roar of waves. It was enormous, built to swallow our whole chaotic clan every July. 20-plus relatives crammed in, laughter echoing off the walls, empty wine bottles lining every surface, endless card games turning competitive at 2 a.m. Without the usual crowd, though, the place felt hollow, almost grieving. I arrived in the late afternoon on a random weekday, Wednesday maybe, sun still high but already slanting golden through the windows. I ticked off Victor's list methodically. Faucets dripping? No. Circuit breakers tripping? All good. Windows secure? Check. The quiet unnerved me more than anything. No clatter of dishes, no overlapping conversations, no kids shrieking from the deck. Just the house breathing, creaking floorboards settling, distant surf, my own footsteps sounding too loud. I'd never been there without the lifeblood of family noise. Emptiness made every shadow feel deliberate. By dusk, I realized driving back in the dark would be miserable. I hate night highways, the way headlights blind you and fatigue creeps in like fog. I shot my mom a text, staying overnight, heading home at first light. She approved, reminded me to text Victor thanks. I heated up leftovers from the fridge. Someone had left frozen lasagna months ago. Scrolled mindlessly, then showered. Normally, I got shoved into a cramped third-floor room with the cousins. The adults claimed the prime suites. Tonight, though, the entire second-floor master was mine. King bed like a cloud, ensuite bath with rainfall shower, walk-in closet bigger than my apartment bedroom back home. I sank into the mattress around midnight and fell asleep fast, exhaustion finally winning. Then, something yanked me awake, a dull thud, muffled from inside the closet. My pulse exploded. I lay rigid, eyes adjusting to the faint moonlight slipping through blinds. The closet door was ajar, just enough for shadows to pull inside. I told myself it was nothing, a hanger slipping, a box shifting, but my body refused to believe it. Every instinct screamed danger, yet I couldn't force myself to move. Sleep paralysis without the full lock. I could twitch a finger, but terror glued me down. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing sleep to return. Almost succeeded. Then, another thump. Clearer, closer. My breath caught. I cracked my eyelids a sliver. The closet door eased open with agonizing slowness, hinges whispering like a secret. A silhouette emerged, tall, broad-shouldered, motionless. It simply stood at the foot of the bed, watching, not moving, not breathing loudly. Just there. 20 seconds stretched into eternity. My lungs burned from holding air. Then, without a sound, it pivoted and glided out of the room. I stayed frozen, ears straining. Footsteps, soft, deliberate, crossed the hall and started climbing the stairs to the third floor. My stomach lurched. That level had no outside access. The only way down was the same staircase. Whoever it was had trapped themselves up there, or worse, they knew the layout perfectly. Panic clawed at my throat. I couldn't fight an intruder. What if he had a knife? A gun? My mind raced through worst-case scenarios while my body finally obeyed. I snatched my phone, fingers trembling so badly I nearly dropped it, and whispered 911. The operator's calm voice felt surreal against my terror. "Someone's in the house. Please hurry." I slipped from bed, Locked the bedroom door with shaking hands, then crouched behind it, listening. Time dragged, each second a hammer blow. Finally, red-blue flashes danced across the curtains. Relief hit like a drug. I bolted downstairs, flung open the front door. Officers rushed in, weapons drawn, sweeping room by room. I waited on the lawn, arms wrapped around myself, shivering despite the mild night. They emerged confused. House clear. No one. I insisted the footsteps went up. No exit. They chalked it up to panic, adrenaline making me miss his escape. But Victor, when I called him frantic, wouldn't accept it. He barked at them to search again, thoroughly. This time I trailed behind, watching every move. Closets flung open, beds checked, walls tapped for hollow spots. Then, one officer paused at a third-floor bedroom window. Unlocked, wide enough for a person. We stepped outside. His flashlight swept the grounds, then tilted upward. There, on the sloped roof, crouched like a gargoyle, was the man. Bald, filthy, clothes in rags, skin weathered like old leather. He didn't run, just sat, staring down with empty eyes. Police scrambled. They talked him down, cuffed him without resistance. He was homeless, they said, likely squatting for weeks, maybe using the empty house as shelter. How he accessed the roof remained a mystery. No ladder marks, no obvious climb. He refused to speak, only that vacant, detached stare. The rest is blur. Statements, Victor furious about security, family begging him to install cameras. He still refuses, stubborn as ever. But the thought that keeps me awake, if I'd chosen my usual third-floor room that night, would he have watched me instead? Story 3. My friend Ethan inherited access to his family's stunning shore retreat on the Outer Banks, North Carolina. A place dripping with old money history, wide porches, weathered cedar siding, views that made you forget the mainland existed. His grandparents lived there full-time until they passed last year. Now it sat mostly vacant. Ethan's folks lived across the country, too busy to visit, so he basically had free reign. Midsummer he texted, "Want to crash at the beach house this weekend? Just us, low-key." I didn't hesitate. Work was slow. Life felt monotonous. I needed salt air and zero plans. We arrived Friday evening, dumped bags in upstairs rooms, ordered sandwiches, then strolled the beach at twilight. Ethan brought fishing gear. We cast lines more for the ritual than results. Found a secluded stretch between dunes. No lights, only waves and wind. Perfect. Next morning we jogged the boardwalk, breeze off the ocean, keeping the heat tolerable. Day melted away in lazy bliss. Sun, snacks, naps. That night we debated bars but crashed early, sun-drained. Past midnight, a piercing screech tore me from sleep, like a smoke alarm stabbing straight into my brain. At first I thought dream residue, then reality hit. It was real, shrill, relentless. Not from my room, above me. I burst into Ethan's room, shook him awake. Shirtless, bleary, he registered the sound instantly. We sprinted upstairs, hearts hammering, expecting flames, smoke, anything. Third floor, pitch black except moonlight at the hall window. We hit lights, nothing burning, no smell, just the beeping drilling into our skulls. We hunted, frantic. In a guest bedroom, under a pillow, sat a small matte black rectangle, size of a deck of cards, red LED blinking slowly. No markings, no screen, only a tiny toggle on the side. I flicked it off. Silence. Blessed silence. Ethan appeared in the doorway. We stared at each other, confusion morphing into dread. Neither recognized it. Family hadn't visited in months. No repairmen scheduled. No logical reason for it to exist. We sat in the dark downstairs, turning it over. Then, the obvious hit me like ice. I flipped the switch on. Beeping resumed instantly. Off. Gone. Someone had manually activated it. Someone here. Now. We barricaded Ethan's door, called police, waited in suffocating silence. When officers arrived, we waited outside while they cleared the house. Their report chilled us. Every third-floor window wide open, even tiny bathroom ones. Beds overturned, drawers emptied, contents strewn. The room with the device? Trashed beyond what we'd seen minutes earlier. No intruder found, no fingerprints, just chaos and violation. Police advised locking everything, left. We barely slept, jumping at every creak. Left at dawn. Nothing else happened, but the violation lingers. Whoever placed that device triggered it, then ransacked while we panicked downstairs. They could still return. We'll never know if they truly left.